Oh, 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 no.
I don't need negative energy, wrap me in positive synergy. I have been doubted through life, been there and done that with trifling people who told me my style would not work. I told them they wrong, been struggling too long. This song is for you, I'm proving you wrong.
Get out my way, get out my way, get out my way, get out my way.
I'm a genuine person. Like if I love you, I love you. If I don't mess with you, I don't mess with you. It's as simple as that.
Who won't smoke with me? Who won't smoke with me? Who won't smoke with me? Nigga, who won't smoke with me? 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 Nigga, who won't smoke with me? Who won't smoke with me? I'm tryna fuck a nigga lungs up. They be like, no, don't put them damn guns up. Fuck that. Say big brother, bring them guns out. When it's smoke, we get spinning while the sun out. I ain't never lacking, I pump gas with my gun out. Scream out what's happening to get the bus until it run out. All these niggas hiding like what they got, it ain't no fun out. 762 big as hell to knock a nigga lungs out. 1, 2, 3, 4, kick your dope good on the floor. 5, 6, 7, 8, don't make no noise, I'll eat your face. 9, 10, 11, we ain't gon' say that, then we won't fuck with Jake. I'ma kill 14 niggas if 13 bitch niggas play. I think my Draco might be gay. Why? Cause he blow niggas. I just got a brand new lolly. There's a faux nigga. Call me an auto yes man. I don't know niggas. You can send your best man, you gon' lose your best hitter. What the fuck is that? What the fuck is that? That's how I step on niggas. I step on you bitch ass niggas, yeah.
They be on my page like Slavovon, I know they trolling me. Outside with y'all big homie be on, I keep the folks with me. Got it back in blood, y'all just don't know that's how it supposed to be. Call them for a feature just to kill him, cause we know he's free. Who the fuck is that? Bro, go check the door, look out the window, don't forget the strap. I be on they ass when I see ops, I do forget I rap. I be on this shit wherever I'm at, I learned that from the rap. He gon' drink whatever nigga sell him just to say hi. They be like he wasn't even with that shit whenever a nigga die. Mercy won't always lie to y'all whenever a nigga die. Send a nigga stable as they check just to keep y'all quiet. Bro, no stump his ass. Better do what Nardo said, cause niggas die for pumping gas. Why you act like that shit so exclusive, bitch? That's public ass. Can't no nigga we don't fuck with come around. We stump his ass.
What up, what up, what up? Let me fix my mic. What's going on, everybody? What's going on? How y'all doing? How y'all doing? How y'all doing? Yes, we turned up. What's going on? What's going on, everybody? How y'all doing? This is your boy, Atmos Love Zone. What's good with y'all, man? What's good with y'all? Let me see who we got up in the building on this Saturday afternoon. I wanted to come on here a little early, y'all, so that we could get ready, knock this out, and then watch the game. You know what I'm saying? Because the game come on at 4:30. So y'all know your boy Atmos got to be sitting right there ready to go. What's going on? Noonie, what's up? What's up? What's up? Y'all hold real quick. It's my job. Hold on. Hold on. Adam, what's going on?
Sorry, I'm having trouble understanding right now. Please try a little later.
We gon' kill you sober, who done told you that I need a pill?
Real deal stepper, put my toe on that boy. You Mickey Mouse, bitch, you went and told on that boy. All my guns come with a switch, cause I'm fucking rich. I don't type no tweets or throw no fist. Get shot in your shit. Old nigga steady tryna diss. Fuck up off my dick. Caught him leaving bingo with his bitch. And we sent the blitz. Nardo tryna fight me by the stick. It's his turn to blitz. I can't even roll my ass and shit. Pussy don't exist. 1, 2, 3, 4. Niggas mad I fuck they hoe. 5, 6, 7, 8. Pussies that got hit with this K. 9, 10, 11, 12. Don't got L's, they gotta chase. 13, 14, 15, 16. Hollow tips, they hit his face. What the fuck is that? What the fuck is that? Hit that little bitch front or back. Pest control, who called about rats? Pussy.
Who won't smoke with us? 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 Nigga. I be with real killers. I'm a rapping street nigga. Copy, paste, delete niggas. Can't wait till we see niggas. Who won't smoke is free. All the oppa sweet. Swish. Hop out middle of the street. Hit him. Soon as he fall off his feet. Kill him. Been out all week. Scene 3 RIP. Pick my shooters all eat. You can tell that we rich. Pull up, ball and swish. Been on all the hits. Now I'm all legit. Shout not a wig. Bitch. 1, 2, 3, 4. Fuck the ops, them niggas hoes. 5, 6, 7, 8. Slamming race with GDK. 9, 10, 11, 12. No mask, still ain't go to jail. 100K checks in the mail. Put that away just for bail. All the crack we used to sell. Auntie house still got the smell. Fans be negative as hell. Fuck that shit, I just prevail. AR hold 100 shells. Aim that bitch, shoot everywhere. No limit, I never care. Spin a block, they never there. Plus, what the fuck is that? What the fuck is that? Cost a fucking check. Bah! Touch my fucking neck.
It's just not that big of a priority right now. Okay. Well, I can't make clean water priority for you. Adam, just get their information, and once they move, Okay, brother, I gotta go. Thank you. All right. Well, I appreciate y'all. Thank y'all very much. Okay, bye-bye. Okay, y'all. Sorry about that. That was work calling. So let's go ahead and get into this. Thank you all for your patience. That gave people enough time to get up in here. Okay. Cool. So what we're going over today is how we got to where we are. What were the steps? What were the proceedings that we had to get through to get to where we are? As y'all know, last time we read the motion for detention for RSK, R. Kelly. Also, let me see here. Just to let y'all know, I don't know if y'all can't see this, but let me pull this up so that you all can follow with me. Let me share my screen with you. Here we go. Okay, so after we read that was that motion. On the 12th, they had give me one moment here. Let me make sure I'm on the same page. Yes, I am. Okay, perfect. Okay, so as y'all know, they had that motion. Then they had that bench warrant was returned and executed as to R. Kelly. Obviously, that's when they picked him up. So the warrant return was executed. That was executed on the 12th. So y'all see, they weren't playing with him. Okay, they were on it. They got that warrant. They went and got him, and they caught him the same day. Okay. Also on the 13th, there was an attorney appearance for R. Kelly. That was when Stephen Greenberg entered into this case, notice of attorney appearance for R. Kelly. The government had already entered who they wanted to have on board. On the 15th, that was been Michael Leonard entered into this case. Okay. And then on the 16th, let me see here. Actually, that was on the other. Okay, then it was a pretrial bail hearing, a bail report as to Robert Sylvester Kelly. This is when they asked for bail. Okay, and then on the 16th, they did a mini entry for the Honorable Harry D. Linen-Weber. This was the arraignment plea hearing held as to the defendant Robert Kelly. Hold on. Who in the world is that? Oh man, it's a bird. It's a plane. Hey y'all, it's Transcript Man. Hold on, let me let him in. Hold on. Come on in, Transcript Man. How you doing? How you doing today? How you doing? Yes. They want to hear some facts today. So yes, give them some facts. Okay, y'all. Transcript Man is here. What's going on, y'all? If y'all are ready to get straight down to the business, y'all want to see some facts. I want to see nothing but watermelons going through the chat all the way up and down. I want y'all to flood this mug out with watermelons right now. Not right now. I mean, right now. Flood it out with watermelons. Watermelons everywhere. And we are going to get straight down to the nitty gritty. Y'all hold real quick. Honey, what's up? I'm live. Okay, y'all. All right, let me fix my doggone things here. There we go. Okay. Let me see if I got my watermelons. It's the watermelons that get me going, y'all. There we go. Man, y'all flooding it out. That's what I'm talking about. Man, watermelons everywhere. Mary Ann, what's up? Let me see who up in here, y'all. Noonie, what's going on? Black Diamond, hello. Missy, what's good? Let me see who else. Okay, that's Latrice B. What's going on? Sade, what's good? Justin T, please. Robert Keller. Tanya, what's going on? Tanya, if you want to help me read today, that would be so awesome if you can. What's up? Shakima Gray, what's going on? Miss Lady T, what's up, Miss Lady T? How you doing? It's coming up real soon. April Showers is in the building. What's going on? Sade, what's good? West Coast Bells is in the building. Atmos is bumping rap music. Yeah, Atmos be listening to everything. Love is fair. What's up, my bro? Lasting Impressions by Kim. Hello. Miss Adrian's. Hello. Okay, y'all flooded me out with watermelons. I am ready. I'm hydrated. What we about to do, y'all, we about to plant some seeds right now. We are going to plant some seeds and we are going to get them to grow so that these empty watermelon head people have something inside that can help them gain some knowledge on what is going on. Baby is sleeping. I got you. Okay, the baby's sleeping. Okay, no problem. I can handle it. No worry. Okay, y'all. So we are going to get into this right now. Let me pull this up. And then I'm going to open this up so y'all can see it. Okay, here we go. So this right here is, let's see, the United States District Court for the Northern District of Illinois. Let me go ahead and put the link in here for anyone who wants to come in and help your boy read. Here is the link. Give me one moment. Let me copy it here. Let me put it right here in the chat. Let me paste. And we about to get some knowledge, y'all. We don't do no opinions over here. Oh, you can help? Okay, great. Just go ahead and hit the link. Hit that link. Let me go ahead and post it for anybody else that wants to jump in and help your boy. And then we about to get this thing going, y'all. Hold on. Let me get it. Let me pull it up. Yes. Here we go. Atmos. Boom. Here we go. Let me pin this. Pin message. Okay, perfect. Okay, it's pinned. So go ahead and click on it. Tanya, and then we're gonna go ahead and get started, okay? All right. Matter of fact, let me pull this down because I don't need this right now. So that's right, it's facts over feelings. What's up, bro? What's up, Andrew Staples? What's going on? All right, y'all. So first thing we're gonna do, let me pull this up. Make sure y'all can hear me. Yes, y'all can. Everything's lined up. Okay, so this is United States of America versus Robert Sylvester Kelly. Okay, versus Robert Sylvester Kelly. Here we go. So this is the transcript of proceedings, y'all. Before, this was in Chicago on July 16, 2019 at 1:02 p.m. For some of y'all, this is, what's up, Just V? What's up, Tracy Wallace? For some of y'all, this is repetition. Y'all already have seen this before, okay? And that's fine. But what we wanted to do is go back over the basics of this before we get to Chicago. We want to know exactly what's going on. So the appearances that we had here in court that day was the Honorable John R. Laus Jr. Let's see, the attorneys were, okay, hold on. Let me get you on here. Tanya, what's up?
How's it going?
Long time no talk to. How you been?
I've been good. How about you?
I'm doing great. It's nice to hear you.
You too. I'm excited.
Awesome. Okay, so what we're going to do, let me just read this, and then we're going to go ahead and get started, okay?
Sounds good.
All right, so this is the United States lawyers were Miss Angel Krull, Abigail L. Peluso, and Janice W. Penting, assistant United States attorneys. For R. Kelly, he had Stephen Greenberg and he had Michael Leonard, okay? And also Dwayne Morris by Christopher, that's the name of the law firm, and Mr. Christopher T. Groman represented, and then also Mr. Jeffrey Arrayes. Okay, I think somebody else came in. Hey, Noonie.
Hey.
How you doing?
Doing good.
You gonna help us read too?
Yes.
I appreciate you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
What's up, Tears? Tears is in the building. What's going on? All right, so let me read through this, y'all, and then we're gonna go ahead and get started. The court reporter was Judith A. Walsh. And y'all, we're gonna go ahead and get into this. So what I'll do is I will read. Let me see. I can read the court. I can read the court and the clerk. If you want to, Tanya, you can read Miss Cruel. You know what? Let me read Mr. Greenberg. I'll read Mr. Greenberg, and then Noonie, if you want to, you can read the court and the clerk, and then you can read Miss Cruel. Tanya, is that
All
okay?
right. Yep.
All right. What's up, Candy? Okay. What's up, Tarsha? All right, y'all. Let's go ahead and get started. So this here is the proceedings heard in open court, and anything else that needs to fill in that pops in because we haven't read this yet, then I'll just go ahead and fill it in. But y'all just pretty much focus on those. I'll focus on the men parts, the Greenberg and the Leonards. If you can focus on the court and the clerk, Noonie, and then for you, Tang, you can do Miss Cruel, okay?
You got it.
All right, so we're going to start this thing open. Go ahead, Noonie.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Judge.
I guess they're just saying that whatever the case number is.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Angel Cruel, Abigail Peluso, and Janice Epenting on behalf of the United States.
Good morning, Your Honor. Stephen Greenberg, Michael Leonard, and Chris Groman, who promises he's going to electronically file his appearance today.
All right.
On behalf of Mr. Kelly, who's present. Pretrial Services Officer. Good afternoon, Your Honor. Jeffrey Arrayes on behalf of the Pretrial Services.
Okay, this is the defendant's petition for bond.
Yes.
Okay, the government has, I've been received the pre-trial report. I think I have two of them, one for the New York case and one for this case. And it's my understanding we've consolidated the matter for hearing today. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, Your Honor.
That was me.
Oh, that was Greenberg. Greenberg said, yes, Your Honor, after you.
Oh, okay.
All right, the court.
And it's my understanding that further that the government contends that some of the counts require the presumption of there are no conditions, which would then make the burden on the defendant. Do you agree with that, Mr. Greenberg?
I agree with some of the counts. Yes.
And how do you wish to proceed? Let me ask this. Does the government intend to call live witnesses, or are you going to pre-offer, or what?
We do not intend to call live witnesses. We intend to proceed by proffer and a joint presentation on both cases.
All right. And the defendants intend to call witnesses?
No, Your Honor. We're going to rely on the recommendations of the pretrial services report and argument.
Okay. And so the government then would proceed then.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Your Honor, do you want to stay here or?
Well, probably seat.
Thank you. The court.
Oh, okay, my bad.
Mm-hmm.
A proffer is not quite the same as testimony.
Right, but I'm guessing it will be lengthy.
So there won't be cross-examination. Let me ask this. How long do you think the proceeding will take?
Your Honor, my argument is less than a half an hour long.
All right.
I'll be seated.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Ms. Cruel, you may proceed.
The defendant, Robert Sylvester Kelly, should be detained pending his trial because, first, he is an extreme danger to the community, especially to minor girls. Second, he poses a serious risk of obstruction of justice in his current case, which also makes him a danger to the community. And third, he poses a serious risk of flight now that he's facing more serious charges. Whoa. Serious charges with mandatory prison time. In this case, as you noted, Your Honor, detention is presumed under a Bail Reform Act because the defendant is charged with producing child pornography, among other things. So detention, Your Honor, is our starting point, and it's the defendant's burden to rebut that presumption of detention, which it simply cannot do. The defendant here is charged with incredibly serious crimes involving the sexual abuse of young teen girls, some young as being in middle school at the time. Middle school, we're talking 7th and 8th grade girls, and it didn't happen once or twice. He sexually abused them hundreds of times before they turned 18. And that's just 2 of the victims. Between the Illinois State Court charges, the case in the Eastern District of New York, and the case right here in the Northern District of Illinois, there are 12 unique victims identified in those cases, and the vast majority of them are minors. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. Our investigation has identified many more girls who were sexually abused by the defendant, and our investigation is far from over. The evidence against the defendant is overwhelming. It includes hard evidence, direct evidence, in the form of 3 videos showing this man, Robert Kelly, sexually abusing a young girl who was only 14 years old at the time. These videos are extremely disturbing to watch, and go up, please. And they show the defendant's sadomasochistic abuse of a 14-year-old girl. These videos also show defendant's particular sexual interest in young girls because he repeatedly tells the girl to refer to her body parts, specifically her genitalia, as being only 14 years old. And he does so in such a way that shows his sexual interest to girls that particular age. The girl's age is repeated at least 15 times on this video. These videos, including by the defendant's own mouth. Also on these videos, the defendant makes the girl call him daddy over and over again. And there is no question that it is the defendant on these videos. There are extreme close-ups of the defendant's face on these videos. 2 of the videos are filmed in very distinctive rooms at his former home. And the victim in all 3 of these videos, she herself has testified under oath that it was Robert Kelly in all 3 videos sexually abusing her when she was 14 years old. There are at least 5 witnesses who will corroborate that victim.
Hold up. Stop.
Sure. Yep.
All right, let's go back. I want to make sure we don't miss that. You got a very nice speed to it, too.
Okay, do you need me to slow down at all?
Just a little teeny bit.
Okay, no problem.
I want to emphasize some of this stuff.
Sure.
So it says here that there are extreme close-ups of the defendant's face in these videos. 2 of the videos were filmed in very distinctive rooms at his former home. And the victim in all 3 of these videos, Can
you say that one more time?
Huh?
Can you say that one more time?
And the victim in all 3 of these videos, she herself has testified under oath. She herself has testified under oath that it was Robert Kelly in all 3 videos sexually abusing her when she was 14 years old. I want that to be very clear. She testified before a grand jury under oath that it was her on the tape and Robert Kelly in all 3 videos sexually abusing her when she was 14. There are at least 5 witnesses who will corroborate that victim. Okay, now go ahead and continue. I'm sorry.
You got it. That evidence is overwhelming, Your Honor. The defendant repeatedly sexually abused a 14-year-old girl. He filmed it, and we have the videos to prove it. That weighs in favor of detention. But that's not all, Your Honor. In addition to sexual abuse of at least five minors, several victims reported defendant's physical abuse in addition to the sexual abuse, hitting, slapping, punching, and spanking. And beyond the physical harm, there's the psychological harm that also must be considered in determining whether the defendant is a danger to this community. Both the Illinois and the New York indictments list examples of the defendant's manipulative and controlling behaviors that impose lasting harm to the victims in cases like this. And that's particularly so when the defendant is not in custody because these victims fear him. All of this makes the defendant a further danger to the community. But what sets this case apart from so many others and what makes the defendant even more of a danger to the community is the defendant's extensive history of obstruction of justice. The threats, the intimidation, the witness tampering, the hush money payments, all outlined in count 5 of this indictment. And these aren't just mere arguments from a prosecutor. This is what the defendant is actually charged with. A grand jury found probable cause that the defendant obstructed justice in all of those ways. This risk of obstruction is real. This risk is ongoing. And this risk of obstruction is heightened by the defendant's fame and power, which emboldens him to gives him a unique ability to influence and intimidate witnesses and victims, and that continues to this day. Now, I expect the defense will argue that the defendant should be released because this conduct is old and dates back to the 1990s. First, that's factually just not true. Count 5 of this indictment, the conspiracy to obstruct justice, that count alleges conduct right up to the present day. And the New York indictment includes conduct in 2015 against a minor and in 2018 against an adult victim. So it's just wrong to say that these cases deal only with old conduct. But second, and perhaps more importantly, so what? There is no statute of limitations for producing child pornography and enticing a minor to engage in sexual activity. If the defendant was sexually attracted to middle school girls, to eighth grade girls in 1999, then he is still attracted to middle school girls and 8th grade girls right here in the present. He sexually assaulted those girls hundreds of times. Being sexually attracted to young girls is not something that you can just turn on and turn off like a light switch. It hasn't just magically gone away. It's who the defendant is. It's what he has been doing for most of his adult life, and that, Your Honor, makes him a danger today. The defendant's team has also argued that these new federal charges in Illinois and in New York are just for the same conduct that the defendant was acquitted of in 2008. Again, not true. There are 13 counts in the Illinois indictment and 5 counts in the New York indictment. That's 18 total counts. Only one of those 18 total counts is the same as his state court trial in 2008. That means that the defendant is facing 17 new criminal counts that he has never faced before. And what about that one count that does overlap with the old state case? That's count 1 of the Illinois indictment. The United States Department of Justice very deliberately charged count 1 of the indictment, even though the defendant was acquitted of state charges based on the same conduct. And that is because the defendant obstructed justice and he ensured that the state trial was not a fair trial. It was not a fair trial. He threatened and he intimidated minor one's family and other witnesses. He provided hush money payments and he manipulated and controlled minor victims into lying about their abuse. Charging this conduct in the Illinois indictment sends a message that no one is above the law, not even a famous musician with lots of money and power. Now, the defendant will say that he's not a flight risk because he has showed up to all of his court hearings in the past. But the stakes have significantly changed. He is now, for the very first time, facing a mandatory minimum of 10 years imprisonment and up to a maximum of 195 years on the Illinois indictment alone. On top of that, New York has a possible sentence of up to 80 years, and that changes everything.
Pause one moment. Pause one
Yep.
moment. Pause one moment.
You got it.
I'm sorry. Pause one moment.
No, not at all.
I just heard something go off in my head, and I gotta let it out, y'all. I gotta let it out. I'm sorry.
Take me to the king.
Oh, Abner.
My heart's torn in pieces. It's my offering. Take me to the king.
Alexa, stop. Okay. I'm sorry. Okay, let's.
Can
let's
I
get
make
back
one
to it.
comment about that?
Sure.
I think that song should be played in the courtroom as the sentence is read.
It should. So if we add these up, let's just add this really quick.
Whew.
So let's add this really quick. Let's add this really, really quick. Okay. So we got this. These are maximum now. We just talking about the maximum, absolute max of years that he could get.
Which is what he deserves.
195 plus 80. That's 275 years.
Under
That is exactly 11 life sentences. Because a life sentence is 25 years, if I'm not mistaken.
I think that's right, yeah.
That's 11 life sentences, y'all. 11.
And you know what? He deserves every single one.
I agree.
Oof.
All right, go ahead. I'm sorry, Miss Cruel.
Reading this, I haven't read this in so long. And wow.
Yeah.
I'm just like, yeah, because it kind of like
go back, because sometimes you just gotta, like, when you see it again, it's like, oh my gosh.
It's so true. It's so true. And especially how much we've learned just since this came out.
Right.
It just puts it all in perspective.
Exactly.
Okay.
All
Ready?
Right. Go ahead.
And before last Thursday, the defendant faced only the same court system at the same courthouse where he illegally obtained an acquittal by obstructing justice, and he likely thought that he would do it again. Now he has federal charges. He had little incentive to flee then. Now he does. The very obstruction of justice that saved him last time is charged in this new indictment, and so he knows it won't work. This time, because this time his victims are cooperating with law enforcement, and that, Your Honor, is his incentive to flee. There are no release conditions that can mitigate these dangers. Electronic monitoring and home incarceration are just insufficient here. Electronic monitoring does nothing about the obstruction of justice. It does nothing to prevent witness tampering. Defendant could easily obstruct justice from the comfort of his home, even if he has an ankle bracelet, but not so far from the MCC, where his communication will be monitored. And on top of that, the defendant can entice girls to his own doorstep. He doesn't have to leave his home to do that, especially when he has assistants and other workers who enable him, as alleged in the New York racketeering charge. No longer alleged. So, electronic monitoring and home incarceration are insufficient to protect the public, to protect the victims, and to protect witnesses from defendant's obstruction of justice. Finally, Your Honor, the defendant has already shown his intention to disrespect this court by not being fully upfront with pretrial services. When pretrial services asked him about his prior marriages, defendant conveniently left out his very first marriage in 1994. And that's because that marriage was to a minor girl who was only 15 years old at that time. And the defendant was 27 years old. That marriage happened right here in the Northern District of Illinois. And the defendant knew that the girl was only 15 years old when he married her. Defendant was not upfront and truthful with pretrial services during his interview. Defendant mentioned only his second marriage, and he conveniently left out that first marriage because it incriminates him. He could have simply declined to answer that question if he didn't want to disclose it, but instead he chose to lie, only talk about his second marriage.
Judge, I'm sorry. Look, I didn't mean to interrupt, but I'm going to object to that. and maybe I'll be a witness. But he did decline to answer that question. I was there.
That I don't know. The record will be okay. You've established the record. Whether that's true or not, I don't know.
All I know, Your Honor, is that's not reported in the pretrial services report that the government received, that it was a declination to talk about his first marriage. Your Honor, the defendant is a danger to the community. He is a risk of flight, and he poses a serious risk of obstruction of justice. For all of the reasons that I've just laid out, the government respectfully requests that this court detain the defendant pending his trial here in the Northern District of Illinois, and then also for any transport to New York to face the charges there. Thank you.
Is New York going to make a presentation of its own?
No, Your Honor, they are not.
Okay, so your presentation covers both. So
correct.
Mr. Greenberg?
Thank you, Your Honor. Your Honor, look, first of all, I just do want to address, the pretrial services report. Okay, I sat in on the interview the other day, which is not something, that we typically, I guess, do. But as I was indicating, or as I indicated in response, when they asked about marriage, he declined to answer certain questions at my suggestion. Okay. Now, beyond that, Judge, Mr. Kelly is 52 years old. I mean, he's been a lifelong resident, essentially of Illinois, except for brief stints in other jurisdictions. Now, he lived in Miami when he was recording the album for a time, and he lived in Atlanta for a couple of years, but he lives here with two young ladies. In the media, they've referred to these ladies as somehow as hostages or slaves or whatever. I mean, they move freely about. I mean, they live their lives. I mean, it may not be, how you or some other people may not choose to live with two girlfriends, but at the same time, that's how they choose to live. And in fact, they're here in court today to support him. I mean, they're back here in just the first row, Your Honor. So they're certainly not hostages. They're certainly not being held, kidnapped. And, that's sort of how this all started. I mean, late last year, okay, when the father of one of them was claiming that he couldn't see his daughter, we set up numerous meetings since I've been involved with Mr. Kelly, and they've never shown up for those meetings. He has children. He's estranged from his children who live here. Even though he's estranged from his children, he pays child support every single month. And at one point, Judge, he fell behind, on child support. He got jailed until he came up with the money. He paid the child support. His child support is current and being paid. Now, even though he doesn't see the kids, and even though his career is not what it was, he's still paying that. He doesn't travel. In connection with the Illinois proceedings, I turned in his passport. I looked at the passport before I turned it in. It was like 7 or 8 years old. It didn't have a single stamp on it. He hadn't been anywhere, hasn't traveled around the United States for at least years. I mean, every once in a while, he goes, to play a concert somewhere, but, he'll travel to the concert. And unlike, and I've said this before, unlike the song, his most famous song, which is I Believe I Can Fly. Mr. Kelly doesn't fly. He doesn't like to fly. I mean, he drives to concerts unless it's somewhere that he can't fly to. For instance, if he has a concert in, let's say, California, he may take a plane. He gets medicated. He goes on the flight. That's one of the reasons why he never travels to do concerts internationally, because he doesn't like to fly. He's got a van. He travels in his van. So he's not a risk to go to the airport and take off. And frankly, he would be recognized anyway. He's not going anywhere, Your Honor. I mean, look, he has no family or friends that reside outside the United States. He has no contact with people under 18. No one under 18 lives with him. No one under 18 lives around him. And they had to ask questions about internet and so forth. He has internet. He records on his computer. And he records. Obviously, you have to use the internet to do anything with the computer. And right now, Your Honor, he lives in a small, it's essentially like a 1-bedroom. I think they call it plus a den unit in the Trump Tower on the 48th floor, a secure building, obviously. He lives there and he records there. I mean, he's been, taking the den. He's got some computer equipment in there, and, and with today's technology, I mean, you can make a guitar and, he can make, keyboards and all of that. And that's what he does. And he basically stays in that unit unless, he's walking his dog or going outside as he likes to do from time to time and smoking a cigar. He has no criminal record. And I'll get into the earlier case in a minute, but he has no criminal record. There are the third and fourth cases, that Mr. Kelly has been charged with, with real substance. Actually, they are the fourth and fifth. He got charged with a case in Florida that was dismissed because when the other charges were pending here in Illinois back in 2002 and 2003, he had a case from 2002 to 2008. It was pending in state court here in Illinois. There were dozens of court dates, dozens upon dozens of court dates. He was required to appear. The best I've been able to determine, at each of those court dates, he appeared. Each of those court dates. He was facing extraordinarily serious charges. At that time, Your Honor, the prosecutors maybe want to look down, on the state court for for the integrity of the state court proceedings. Those were extraordinarily serious. They were child pornography charges he was facing. And by reading the charges, possible consecutive time. And he went to trial on over 10 charges. He was looking at significant jail time. And he went to trial. He had to go to trial. I keep hearing this, from the prosecution, and I see what they've done in their indictment. Obviously, I'm not privy to the evidence at this point, but they say that the case is somehow rigged. He went to trial. He wasn't, if it was, he didn't take a bench trial. He had a jury. He didn't, no one says he paid off the jurors or anything. He had 12 people. Those 12 people watched the video in that case. The video in that case got played. The same video they're talking about here. The witness in that case that they've got here testified before the grand jury. Her parents testified before the grand jury. Back then, that wasn't her. The jury heard all the evidence. The jury heard from other people. And the jury watched the video. And the jury acquitted Mr. Kelly. Now, if the fix was in, he went through an awful lot because the fix was in. he was definitely at jeopardy in the case. Now, I don't know what their evidence is, and I don't know what people or, who maybe knew Mr. Kelly, who Mr. Kelly was, but they had fine attorneys. I mean, he had Sam Adams, Jr. and Sr. He had Mr. Jensen on the case. I don't know, what they're saying was going on, with the case, because I haven't seen it. But Mr. Kelly had to go to trial. He had to face those jurors. He had to sit through a closing argument and a rebuttal closing argument where someone pointed their finger at him and said, based on the evidence here, we think you're guilty. They thought that, they had presented enough evidence. Now, if they had such problems with their evidence in that case, they wouldn't have gone to trial. The prosecutors. Now, and I've talked to these prosecutors about that case. They certainly never suspected that anything was untoward in that case. He never missed a court date, never was late for a court date. He was also charged again here in Illinois this year. And again, they poo-pooed those charges. He's charged with Class X felonies here in Illinois, and again, facing potential consecutive time on Class X felonies. He showed up for court. The state indicted him. The state called him up. They said, we're going to add charges on this case. When do you want to come to court and be arraigned? We picked a date. He showed up. He showed up on time. He pled not guilty to those charges, and the state didn't even ask the judge to raise the bond on the case because there's no reason to believe that he is not going to show up. On the state case, Judge, he posted $100,000. They had $25,000 he had to post and $250,000 bond on each of the 4 cases. So that's $100,000. The total that posted on that case, he's being monitored by pretrial services in the state court. He never had a problem. They check on him. He does what he's supposed to do. They tell him to call. He calls when he's supposed to call. They tell him where to be. He's where he has to be. There's not a problem. There's not any problem there. The fact that Mr. Kelly was getting charged in state court was no surprise to anyone. It was there. There was this, as they like to call it, a documentary. I don't really think it was a documentary, but they call it that. And he gets charged. He turned himself in. They called him up. They said, hey, we charged. This is original. Not on the increased charges, on the original charges. They called me up. We charged him with felonies. We'll give him 24 hours to turn himself in. We made arrangements, went to the police station, turned himself in, cooperated with them. They wanted to take a DNA sample. Sure, take a DNA sample. All that. So they did have a DNA sample there. Shout out to Diva the Divine Light, my sister, who was going ham with the facts earlier, talking about breaking down the fact that they have his DNA. They been had his DNA. Been had it. Okay? I guess there was some other blogger trying to say, well, how can they charge him without having his DNA and knowing? Does anybody remember 1 in a decillion chance that was his DNA?
On the t-shirt.
Huh?
On the t-shirt.
On the t-shirt. Does anybody remember what is it? A non-million?
It was like 19 zeros or something.
Yeah,
like
one
that.
was 33 zeros.
Oh yeah,
something we ain't never seen before, right?
Yep.
Okay, there's your DNA. He did that knowing that when I talked to the prosecutors about bond, that they would not agree to a bond with me. So he did that full well knowing that he could be held without bond on the state charges. And had they called me on this, and they knew I was representing him, had they called me on this, they wouldn't have to pull up and arrest him walking his dog outside of Trump Tower. If they would have just said, bring him in, we would have brought him in just like before. Now, they argue that he's a flight risk when every single time he has voluntarily appeared. He hasn't fled. He hasn't missed court. He hasn't been late for court. It is no secret he was under investigation here, Judge. It's been common knowledge he's under investigation here. He's under investigation in the Eastern District of New York. There may have been a second investigation in the Southern District of New York that I've heard about. It's a well-known fact. Now, if Mr. Kelly was going to flee, he would have left in. He would have already left. He's not a flight risk at all. And I'm shocked that they even argue that. That they would even argue that when they pulled up to arrest him on Wabash, that he didn't try and run. He texted me shortly before. He saw the cars out there. I can show the government the text message. He saw the cars out, that they were out there, Your Honor. He didn't go back into the Trump Tower. He didn't go lock himself. He stood there smoking a cigar and walking his dog. He was polite. He was cooperative. There was absolutely no reason to believe that he would flee. Your Honor, how could he flee? He has no money. Mr. Kelly filed for bankruptcy 4 or 5 years ago. He doesn't, to the best of what I've been able to determine, own any royalties to his songs. Those were stolen from him. He would get, little small checks from time to time because, my understanding, I've learned, a little about the business now in this case. They don't make money from selling the music anymore because you can go on a streaming service and the streaming service, charges a small monthly fee. So the money's in concerts. And he doesn't play any concerts these days. He hasn't played any concerts for a while. So every once in a while, he'll get a check. It might be $30,000 or $40,000. I think he got one that was a little bit bigger, than that, for royalty payments. He got a check when Sony, I think, it was Sony canceled his contract. There was an agreement as to how much it was. That money is gone. What did he do with that money? He didn't put the money when he got it. He got almost $400,000 right around the time of the state charges. I think right after the state charges, he didn't put that money in a safe in his house or in a hidden box somewhere. He put the money in a bank account under his own name. And what happened? He had gotten evicted from his recording studio, and the people who evicted him seized the money in his account. And a big chunk of it went to pay because he owed back child support. So he paid it back to child support. And some of it went to pay his state court bond. And then there was nothing left. He prepaid his apartment. I believe it's paid for close to either until December or January 1st in the Trump Tower. You know, he's prepaid that. And he has no other money to live on. He's got no money to flee on. You know, he'll get a little check here and there, and maybe some friends will help him. But they say that he lives a lavish lifestyle. But he doesn't live a lavish lifestyle. They say that he faces a mandatory minimum sentence of 10 years. Now, so he's in some grave danger. He was facing a mandatory minimum sentence of 6 years before. And he was showing up. I don't see that as a sea change in what he's facing. They claim, Your Honor, that Mr. Kelly is a danger to minors. They say that the way the indictment is written is very typical. It's vague as to, what things are. And I understand why they write the indictments that way, but the dates are in there. So except for one allegation, which I can't figure out what they're really saying in it, the allegations date back to the 90s. To the 90s, Judge. Now, I understand the statutes of limitations and all of that, but they date back to the 90s. They've been investigating him state. They've been investigating him on federal. They've gone on TV and said, call us if you had a problem with R. Kelly. Look, they've actually gone on TV and other people, not the law enforcement, have said, we'll pay you for your story if something has happened with R. Kelly. Yet, we're still dating back 2 decades on allegations regarding minors, except for one very vague thing that they put in one of the indictments. There's no evidence that he's a risk to minors at all at this point. I like the way they said at this point. What about before? You see how he said at this point? I see that. And they talk about the psychological risk of something like that. I don't know what that is, but whatever it is, detaining Mr. Kelly isn't going to fix someone if someone's got some kind of psychological issues because of something happening to them. Damn. He showed empathy, didn't he?
Sure did. Wow.
Those aren't connected at all. In fact, the only proof here is that he isn't a danger to minors. The fact that it's been 2 decades since there were these allegations shows that he isn't. They say that he's a danger because he's going to obstruct justice in this case, just like he did before. And I don't have whatever their evidence is, but I can tell you a little bit. And these are not secrets. This is well known about Mr. Kelly and Mr. Kelly's business. Mr. Kelly had a business manager. He had a lawyer. He had an accountant. He had people who worked for him. Other people working for him, all of whom have a lot of money now. All of them have a lot of money now, but Mr. Kelly doesn't. He doesn't have any money. It's not a secret that Mr. Kelly doesn't read. He doesn't write. Now, if other people did something when he was facing trial before because they wanted to protect or, the money tree, I don't know about that. And I haven't seen the evidence on that, but he wasn't doing it. He wasn't doing it. And let me tell you why. Even if the government says he's a danger because of the obstruction charges, why their argument impeaches itself. He's charged in a count with two other people, Daryl McDavid, and everyone has always told me Daryl McDavid was a guy who ran it. He was the business guy. He was the accountant, but he was the business guy. He was the guy who handled all Mr. Kelly's affairs, and the guy named June Brown. The government agreed and recognized bonds for Daryl McDavid and June Brown. June Brown, I think, turned himself in Las Vegas. My understanding is he got a recognizance bond. Daryl McDavid turned himself in here and got a recognizance bond, but he's being charged with obstruction. If obstruction is such a danger and such a risk to everybody, then why did the government agree to do a recognizance bond for Daryl McDavid? And I'm sure they've got their reasons, but it certainly shows that that charge doesn't imply that anyone's a danger. Frankly, Mr. Kelly, well, there's no evidence, Your Honor. And at this point, and there's no evidence because it hasn't happened, that since Mr. Kelly has heard these rumors swirling around, which has been around now for probably a year and a half, 2 years, about criminal charges and so forth, that he's done anything to any witnesses, to anyone he thinks might be a witness, taken any action at all. There's no suggestion that since the state court charges were filed, that Mr. Kelly has done anything wrong at all. And I mean anything. He hasn't talked to a witness. He hasn't interfered with the witness. And I don't even think that that was a condition of his state court bond. You know, I might be, what was that condition, Steve, that he not have contact with anyone? Was it a condition? Okay, so it's a condition on his bond that he's complied with that. But he's complied with it before. It was a condition on his bond and he didn't do anything. Now they say that all of this is different and all of it was different charges, different victims and all that. We respectfully disagree, Your Honor. We think that there is great overlap, and we think that some of this case is in fact overreaching. For instance, where they've got, predicate acts on a RICO prosecution because he, could have transmitted a sexually transmitted disease in violation of state law. They're making it into a RICO case? I know they've got, other allegations, but they've got things like that in their case. We think that it's terrible overreaching. We think that they're trying to criticize how consenting adults who never complained for years and years, all of a sudden say, oh no, I didn't want to be in that kind of relationship. There was something about that relationship. These people who are there, who are their witnesses, have been on the greatest hits tour since this first hit. They've been on TV. They've been on the awards in Vegas, the MTV Awards, and got an award for the documentary. They've went on some other award show and they got this, they tweet and they, video, this is great. My mom has never been. The one girl who was charged, she's one of the people in the state case. My mommy's never been to anything like this. I'm so happy I got to bring my mother to this. I mean, give me a break. That's what this has turned into. They've got in here that he was forcing people to do labor. I have no idea what they're talking about. Was he forcing the girl to collect tickets? Was he forcing the girl to record? Was it? What is it? It's so vague. I mean, we can't respond. We can't attack it, but they're going to. But we're going to attack it. Mr. Kelly's conditions, Judge. Another factor I think the court can take into consideration. He is in the SHU, which is a special housing unit. He's in the SHU because, frankly, for the MCC or any other institution, Mr. Kelly is a difficult prisoner to have there because of other prisoners, not because of anything Mr. Kelly is doing or going to do because of his notoriety. Mr. Kelly, there's going to be an enormous amount of discovery in this case. He can't read and he can't write. Someone's going to have to sit down with him for hour after hour after hour, day after day, and go through the discovery. That's virtually impossible to do if he's in custody. In the SHU, he gets 15-minute break, 15 minutes a week to speak on the phone. Not like other inmates. There's no television there. And he can't read. So there's no books to read. There's no anything. So he literally sits there in isolation all day long. And if we go to meet him, the attorneys on the case, we went over there yesterday. What would you guys say? The room is 6 by 8. Okay. Probably a 6 by 8 room. And we'll all be crammed in there. That's the room that we have to meet with him. And they have to shut everything else down while we do it. They have to shut everything else down while we do it. Now, whatever you may think of whatever you may think of the charges, whatever the government may think or the public may think of the charges, the man's going to have to prepare for trial. And the man's entitled to be held in a humane situation. We have reviewed all of the conditions listed in the pretrial services report. He doesn't have a passport. That's been taken by the state. We have no obligation or we have no objection to any of the conditions that are listed in the report. And we believe that it's perfectly appropriate in this case that he should be allowed to return home, whether it's on electronic monitoring or home detention or whatever. I know there's various levels of federal detention when you're kept at home, but that is in fact appropriate. Commensurate with the presumption of innocence and the proffer bail that should be set in this case. May I have a moment, Judge?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And Mr. Groman has pointed out to me also that they executed a search warrant on Mr. Kelly's residence after he was arrested. Now, I believe that I read somewhere they found 2 bullets. I think they were in a cup with change. He had weapons. Those were all turned into the state when he was arrested on the state charges. Those were probably burned under or buried under the change. But they found nothing that I'm aware of during that search.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Kroll?
Thank you, Your Honor. I just briefly want to address a couple of things raised by Mr. Greenberg. First of all, Mr. Greenberg raised the fact that Mr. Kelly's co-defendants were released on bond. And yes, that is true. And here is why. There are 0 allegations against Mr. McDavid and Mr. Brown that they have ever sexually abused a minor. They are not charged in the most serious counts in this indictment, and they are not charged with counts that carry that presumption of detention. And second of all, with respect to the charges relating to the obstruction of justice, Mr. Kelly was the leader of that conspiracy to obstruct justice. And whatever his co-defendants did in furtherance of that obstruction of justice, they did at his behalf. And I want to make clear, with respect to the court of receiving child pornography, that conspiracy to receive child pornography that both McDavid and Mr. Brown is charged in, their role in receiving that child pornography was not because they enjoyed viewing child pornography. It was because the defendant instructed them to obtain these sex tapes with minors that the defendant was on. And so it's not like they had an interest in minors. They were doing what the defendant told them to do. That's why they are charged in that count. And so we did not seek detention for those individuals because we did not see them as the extreme danger to minors that the defendant is. The other thing I'd like to mention, Your Honor, is that throughout Mr. Greenberg's presentation here, he never once mentioned minor one. He never once mentioned the strength of our evidence regarding Mr. Kelly's sexual interest in middle school kids. He never once mentioned that she has now gone on record that, yes, that is her on 3 videos. And I want to emphasize, it's not just the same video from 2008. We have 3, count them, 1, 2, 3 videos showing the defendant sexually abusing minor 1. And the other 2 videos were not part of that 2008 trial. So these charges are much more severe than what he was facing before. And the other thing I'd like to say, Mr. Greenberg liked to focus on a lot of the adult victims in this case, and he was not focusing on the minors. I'd like to make clear that the 8th graders that I mentioned, including minor 1, never have they ever appeared before a TV camera. Never have they been seeking fame and fortune. They have cooperated with the United States government because we reached out to them. They are not on TV seeking money from the defendant. That's all, Your Honor.
Anything further?
No, Your Honor.
All right. Under the law, the specific charge of child pornography, creating and possessing child pornography does not require a presumption of detention.
It says
that
does.
there are,
I'm sorry. Go back a little bit.
does require a presumption of detention, that there are no conditions that would be sufficient. And it would be up to the defendant to demonstrate that they're to get away from this presumption. And I do not believe, based on the allegations that have of the indictment, which bear
Imprimatur or something like that.
of the grand jury, which means that the grand jury, after hearing evidence certainly produced by the government, found probable cause for guilt of all specific counts in both indictment here in Chicago and the indictment from New York, in the Eastern District of New York. The charges are extraordinarily serious. The one specific, count 1 and 2 and 3, carry a mandatory 10-year penalty, which is which indicates how serious those specific charges are. And in addition, they carry the detention presumption.
All right, so stop right there. Let's just read that one. I just want to go with that one more time. So the charges are extraordinarily serious. The one specific one, which is count 1, 2, and 3, carry a mandatory 10-year penalty. So what they're saying is, out of all 13 charges, counts 1, 2, and 3 are being put together in one charge. So that's pretty much, you take that and you divide that over the 10 years. So pretty much the mandatory, they carry a mandatory 10-year penalty. So for charges 1, 2, and 3, the most he would get for those would be 10 years. That's mandatory. Okay? And that which indicates how serious those specific charges are. And in addition, they carry a presumption. Okay, go ahead. And so we got 10 years there. Go ahead and presume at 24.
As far as the obstruction of justice, according to the specific count in the indictment, that the acquittal was at least in some part obtained because of obstruction of justice, which involved allegedly paying off the witnesses and threatening witnesses and buying back certain evidence in the forms of the videos, that even though apparently there was one that was played, there were several other videos. And if all 3 videos or 4 videos, one of them which apparently has not surfaced yet, but must be out there somewhere, had all 3 of them, who knows how the case could have come out. Supposedly, according to the indictment, again, I go by the fact that a grand jury found that there's probable cause. The witnesses were paid and witnesses were threatened in order to either change testimony or not appear at all. So it appears to me that the defendant has failed to overcome presumption of requiring detention in both the cases here in Chicago and the case in New York. Although, does the presumption apply in New York case?
Yes, it does, Your Honor.
All right. So the presumption in both cases that are all no conditions that will assure the defendant's attendance at trial, and no conditions that will protect the public and certain individuals according to the case, denies the motion for bond. Thank you.
Oh, wow.
She was like, doom, done. Denied.
Take me to the king. I don't have much to bring. My heart is torn to pieces. It's my offering. Take me to the king. I had to just do the encore for that.
Absolutely.
Because denied. Like, what else can you do? Miss Cruel, go ahead. You're on.
Your Honor, I believe that we also have to take care of the defendant's arraignment. He wasn't able to be arraigned the very first day that he was arrested.
All right. Mr. Greenberg, has the defendant received a copy of the indictment?
Yes, he has, Your Honor.
Have you advised that he can't read it, but you have read it to him?
We've gone over the charges with him. Yes, we've entered pleas of not guilty and will waive formal reading.
All right. Would the government put on the record the maximum penalties?
Yes, Your Honor. For counts 1 through 4 of the indictment, the maximum possible penalties are 20 years imprisonment with a mandatory minimum of 10 years, supervised release of not more than 5 years, a fine of up to $250,000, and a special assessment of $100 along with restitution.
Okay, so stop right there. So it says here for counts 1 through 4 of the indictment, the maximum possible penalties are 20 years. So that's the max that he can get.
For each count, right?
Huh?
For each count, right?
Well, it says for counts 1 through 4.
But the penalties.
So let's see what they're doing. Let me see. Possible penalties are 20 years. Imprisonment with a mandatory minimum of 10 years. But aren't they putting those all in one?
I think that's 80 years.
Maximum of 80 years?
Yeah, because how it says penalties, possible penalties, instead of possible penalty is 20 years, the possible penalties are 20 years.
I get, you know what? When it says penalties are 20 years, yes, that penalties, if it would have said penalty, then that would mean those 4 would be just 20 years. It does say penalties, so you're absolutely right. So it's a maximum of 80 years or a minimum of 40 years right there.
Yeah, I just think that each of those counts each have the same penalty. So they just set it all in one shot.
Okay,
so I
yeah,
think that could be $1 million too.
They separate. Okay, they separate. I was talking to people earlier. Okay, so those are separate because it says penalties, not penalty. Okay, so that's 40, minimum of 40 years right there. Minimum of 40 years. Okay, and then supervised. Okay, go ahead. With respect to count 5, go ahead.
With respect to count 5, the conspiracy to obstruct justice, the maximum term of imprisonment is 5 years, supervised release of not more than 3 years, a fine of up to $250,000, and a special assessment of $100.
All right. So on count 5, so right now we know the minimum for counts 1 through 4, that's 40 years minimum.
Right.
So for count 5, it could be anywhere from 1 to 5 years max.
Right.
Right?
Right.
Okay. So we definitely got 40. The minimum on this, she could probably give him 2 years. She could give him 3. The most she could give him is 5 years. Okay. Go ahead and move. Go ahead and read on.
With respect to count 6, conspiracy to receive child pornography, and also count 7 and 8, the actual receipt of child pornography, there is a mandatory minimum of 5 years imprisonment on each of those counts, a statutory maximum sentence of 20 years on each count.
Okay. So right now we got 40 minimum on counts 1 through 4, the maximum on count 5 of 5 years. And then we have on count 6, 7, and 8.
Right.
Minimum
15.
of maximum mandatory minimum of 5 years. So that's another 15 years. So that brings us a minimum of at least 65. Hold on. A minimum of at least 55 years right there, with a statutory maximum sentence of 20 years for each count. So if you take that 40 plus this 60 max, that's 100 years right there.
Right.
Wow. Okay, go ahead.
That's crazy. And then still
supervised release. After you do 20 years,
supervised release of at least 5 years and up to lifetime supervised release. Oh, a fine. So that would mean that if he did get out, he'd be on parole for his lifetime, right?
Right.
A fine of up to $250,000 and a special assessment of $100. And finally, with respect to counts 9 through 13, enticement of minors to engage in criminal sexual activity, there's a statutory maximum of 10 years imprisonment on each count, up to 5 years of supervised release, a fine of up to $250,000, a special assessment of $100, and also restitution.
All right. So this here, you got those counts 9, 10, 11. Hold on. 9, 10, 11, 12, and 13. So that right there, that's 5 counts. 9 through 13. Is that 5? That's 4, right?
No, 5. You're right.
That's 5. That's 5 counts.
Yep. That's
9,
50
10,
years.
11, 12, 13. So that's a maximum of 10 years. That's another 50 years. Right now, we at 150 years, y'all. Now, that's max. 150 years max on that. That is crazy. Go ahead. Go ahead and continue.
It's the court's turn.
Okay.
He's been arraigned on the New York charges already?
Yes, he has. So those years are not even counted.
All right, Mr. Kelly, your attorney. I understand that he tells me that you cannot read. And so do you feel that you understand the nature of the charges of the indictment?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right. The court accepts let the record show that the defendant is in the court in person through his counsels. The government's presentation through its counsel, the defendant acknowledges that he has received a copy of the indictment, that it has been read to him, that he is familiar with the contents of the indictment, and he waived he pleads to all of the counts not.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Oh, still reading.
Guilty.
All right, go ahead.
The rule, as far as the discovery is concerned, the government will proceed immediately to furnish discovery. Is that correct?
Your Honor, we were going to ask for some time to be able to work out a protective order with all 3 defendants because a lot of the materials that we'll be producing involve minors. And we are working on a protective order before we produce anything. So we would like maybe an extension of a week to your normal schedule for the Rule 16 conference.
Is that acceptable?
I don't know what, what a week means. Give me a day, that we're talking about.
Are you talking about 2 weeks for the production?
Right. Normally we get 2 weeks to produce the Rule 16 materials. We are asking for an extra week because Mr. Brown's not even in town yet. We are not sure of his attorney situation, and we'd like to work out this protective order with all 3 defendants in the case before we produce anything.
So you want 3 weeks to produce?
Correct.
Judge, given that Mr. Kelly is going to be in custody, we can look over, whatever they promise or they propose as a protective order, but it will be binding on us, and if they, want to, work out another protective order. I mean, what happens if Mr. Brown, gets there and says he needs time to find counsel? I don't want to be at Mr. Brown, who is, out his leisure.
Well, we're talking about 3 weeks max. Now, if you can't work out a protective order, he doesn't get counsel in time. They will proceed with discovery.
Correct.
After 3 weeks, even though they have not. So they would have to do it with piecemeal, I guess, is that acceptable? I guess the question is.
Look, I'm not trying to be difficult. But how difficult is it to do a protective order? I mean, the protective order is going to say, don't show it to anyone other than the lawyers.
I don't know.
And people working on this case?
I don't know.
It seems pretty simple. I mean, I would think that, they've got one of their, they've got one on their word processor.
Normally, you'd think that it might be simple. But then I've been here long enough to know that it isn't. That isn't always the case, that people come up with objections. I guess I repeat the question. You object to 3 weeks?
I do.
All right. I'll make it to 2 weeks. Let's see, what else do we need to do? Discovery in 2 weeks. Do you wish to file pretrial motions?
I'm sure we will.
How much time? Would you like it to do it now, or do you want to look at them and then we can have I
like to look at the discovery.
All right. Why don't we do this? We'll come back in 30 days and we'll set a schedule for motions. And is the objection to excluding time?
No, Your Honor.
All right. The next status will be 30 days after you get the discovery. September 4th at 10 o'clock a.m. September 4th. The time will be excluded without objection to September 4th. For the purpose of the interest of justice and in the interest of justice and the pretrial motions, which counsel advises that there definitely will be. So, okay, without objection, time will be so excluded.
Thank you.
September 4th at 9 o'clock.
Thank you.
Anything?
What about?
Your Honor, I imagine that New York is going to want to have an arraignment in New York on their charges.
Hasn't he been arraigned? I thought you said he...
I misspoke earlier. He had his initial appearance on the removal proceedings, but he needs to be arraigned before the district judge there. And so I do believe, though, September 4th should give us enough time for him to have his appearance there and be brought back to Chicago for your September 4th date. I'll work with the marshals on that to make sure that that's okay.
All right.
But it sounds like it should be enough time to get him to New York and back.
Which is a whole nother complication, Judge.
Are you representing him in the New York case?
We very well may be, but he does. I think he has a lawyer there.
Does he have one over there?
Right, because I'm not licensed.
All right, well.
We can also talk about video conferencing with the New York to see if that is a possibility.
All right, work that out.
Can we can't arraign him here now. I mean, we've reviewed those charges with him also, but
I don't know.
He is entitled to appear before the district judge there.
Well, is that waivable?
I can work on that to see if that's acceptable to the judge in New York and the prosecutors in New York.
All right, if you want to arraign him in front of me on the New York charges, then just schedule it with the clerk and we can do that.
Thank you, Judge. I'll work on that.
Thank you.
Anything further?
No, Your Honor.
No, Your Honor.
All right, we'll stand adjourned. All rise.
The proceedings adjourned at 1:56 p.m. Certificate I, Judith A., do hereby certified foregoing is a complete, true, accurate transcript of the proceedings had in the above case. Therefore, before the Honorable Harry D. Lennenweber, one of the judges of said Court of Chicago, Illinois, on July 16th, 2019. Well, ladies, y'all were super amazing at reading today. I do appreciate y'all.
As were you, sir.
So what do y'all think about was there anything that came out that y'all are like, okay, I missed that before, didn't know that. That's why we go back over this kind of stuff, just to kind of see, you know.
I think in the beginning I didn't really focus so much on the time that he had, and it just blows my mind.
It blows my mind too. So we know that at a minimum, he's looking at least 150 years.
And he's already what is the minimum in New York? I think like 40 or 80 or something.
Yeah.
Like he's already gonna get when he gets sentenced finally.
It's insane.
Yes.
But you know what? For the crimes that he committed, he deserves so much more, in my opinion. I mean, because you gotta look at it. No kid is safe around this guy.
None.
Whenever you go you gotta go to middle school to hunt for kids.
It's just like, oh, it makes me scared to send my daughter, and you know, and she's little, but as she gets older.
Noonie.
Hey.
What? Noonie, you was doing your thing with the judge. I appreciate you. Thank you.
And you know I'm pregnant now. I couldn't even breathe. I'm over here out of breath.
Oh,
congratulations.
How many months are you?
I'm gonna be 5 months, and I have a 9-month-old too.
Man, congratulations.
So that makes you due in what month?
Well, I always deliver a month early, so it could be May 20th, and all my kids will be in the same month, all three.
My daughter's in May too, May 10th.
Oh wow, yeah. So I have my 9-month-old, she was April 28th,
God bless
and
you.
my 8-year-old, she was May 1st. So then if this one's May 20th, too, we gonna have a triple birthday.
That's what it is.
That's
Congratulations.
crazy. I love it.
Yeah.
Hold on. Uh-oh. Happy birthday, Miss Mo. Hey.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday. Happy birthday. So let me see what people saying in the chat, y'all. Let me see if they got anything to say in the chat.
I have one question.
Go ahead.
I don't know if you know this answer, but while we were reading, I mean, they talked so much about the 2008 trial.
Mm-hmm.
Do we have access, or is there a way to get access to those transcripts, or no? Because that trial was not televised or anything either.
Right. You know what? That's a great question. It's
I would love
I'll
to
look
read
into it and see.
I would love to.
You know, I was up over there at the infamous side.
Yeah.
And they said that you can if you know like the court, but you got to know everything. I think
you got to know the court reported for that time and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, the judge, who it was, the date, the time, everything. So I don't think it's that hard, but yeah, you need to know like all the details to get it.
That makes sense. That makes sense, man. Listen, y'all.
I might do some research on that.
Yeah, I will, because now I'm interested.
For
that was a great question. Yeah, people. Yeah, I love to hear those old transcripts too, just to see the similarities of then and now. To see what patterns of behavior he did then and still doing now. Like we know that he only knows what he knows. And I like what the government said when they said this man didn't, he been liking little kids for years. It's not just going to turn off and turn on. You know what I mean? It's not like a light switch.
Right.
Man, listen, y'all. I appreciate y'all for being over here. Thank y'all so much. Hey, Miss Rogers, how you doing? Miss Kelly Rogers in the building, y'all.
Hi, Mr. Rogers.
There's Miss Rogers there. Let me see who else. We got Grace Arline. What up, Grace? What up, Grace? Hey, y'all. Let me ask y'all a question. Do any of y'all in here have a crab business, crab legs, or anything like that? Do anybody know anything about crab legs in this chat? Anybody?
That they're delicious.
Oh my gosh. So I used to live in Virginia. And in Virginia, they used to have fried crabs where the crabs had like a batter over them with like this hot
Soft
sauce.
shell. They got soft shell. That's the soft shell crab.
Oh my goodness. Oh,
That
I missed
sounds
them
good.
things. Them things is off the chain. House of the Princesses in the building. What's up, House of the Princess? If y'all have not subscribed to House of the Princess channel, please do. Y'all, she remind me of me. She's a female me when it comes to this reading. She be getting into it. Emotional. She gets into it. She try to bring y'all into the courtroom. She was reading that book the other night. The what's it, Portia Williams book? I couldn't take my eyes off the screen. Like, she had me locked in. So House of the Princess, y'all, subscribe to her channel if you haven't already. Subscribe to Tears, that's another one of my OCOB sisters, keeps it real. Diva the Divine Light, subscribe to her channel. Subscribe to West Coast Bells, who has a channel. April Showers has a channel, y'all. All the people I deal with are really solid, awesome people, man. Awesome, solid people. Let me see if anybody else, but y'all listen. If y'all are good, y'all don't have any more questions. Let me see. Now, hey, Miss Giddens, how you doing? Miss Giddens said, now I understand why Greenberg was not his lawyer in the New York case. He is not licensed. See, there you go. This is why we go back. I didn't know he wasn't licensed in New York. I heard it, but it's good to read it. Bev Davis, what's up? Hey everyone, I missed the whole thing. Taking care of a 13-month-old with COVID. Oh
my goodness.
Poor baby. Said, I don't think I know any more details. This is very bad. Miss me, Mr. Thanks, y'all. Celebrate RSK. Let me see. Miss Dolores said, you don't like little kids. They are not. You don't like little kids. They are not little kids. Okay. Let me see. I love king crabs. R. Kelly don't like little kids. Mr. Dolores, you're right. He don't like little kids. He loves little kids. What do you think 13 and 12 is? Little kids. I don't even see how you could say that he don't like little kids. Huh? He got recordings of him telling girls to say that their parts are 14 years old. What the hell is a 14-year-old? A little freaking kid.
And it was
he
proven
said
that he
15
married
times.
a 15-year-old.
He on recording. What are you talking about? He don't like little kids. What? Maybe that was a typo. I don't know. I'm gonna say that was a typo.
No, the Beehive's here.
Huh?
The Beehive's here.
They're always here.
Yeah, they are. They come in here every now and then. I don't see how anybody could say he don't like little kids when
Why did he marry one?
Case is based around minors. Like, what are you talking about? T-Bell one said, yes, I love seafood. I'm from VA. You know, we know about crabs. Heck yeah. Just had a crab boil yesterday. Okay. I can't stand the soft shell though. Run me some bushel and some blue crabs though. Ooh wee. Grace said, my crab business is called Craving for Crabs. Check me out.
There you go.
Grace Online got a crab business. Did y'all notice I asked about crabs after I said, hey, Grace Online? Because I know she got a crab business. I just want to see if she was going to put it out here. So since she did, y'all go and subscribe to Grace Online and get some of them crabs. She got crab. Y'all, she got a crab business. That food looks so good. Good. Y'all check her out. The crab business is called Craving for Crabs. Check her out on IG, y'all. Check her out. She said she the bomb, too. I don't have a channel, but I cook crabs. Okay, Grace. Okay. I was checking your business out earlier. Gotta have some crab legs for the Super Bowl, but the cost is through the roof. $20 up per pound. Good grief.
You know,
Ooh,
Atmos, you should look up Trident Seafood because my stepfather he works for them and he ships he like fishes in Alaska and that's the
really?
freshest you can get. But see if Trident could send you some because they're pretty good price.
Trident Seafood. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
they're the
I
ones
will.
who fish it and get it direct.
I will. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So Mr. Lord said, I just listened to a bunch of hearsay. Did we not read?
Here we go.
Huh? I just listened to a bunch of hearsay. Y'all, Mr. Loris, you know I love you because you come on and I ain't got no beef with you, but I know you're an R. Kelly supporter and you come over here and I respect you. And this is not geared towards you. I'm gonna say those that think like you. We reading the actual court documents, black and white, that says this man is on videotape with a 14-year-old on 3 videos and a 4th video that 3 witnesses can attest to and testify to. And we still have people that support this kid-loving pedophile who has been convicted in New York already. So we're just going back before to have messed with minors. And we still got people that are sitting here watching us read this stuff that are saying that they listened to a bunch of hearsay.
I just pulled up the definition of hearsay. Can I tell you that?
Go ahead.
Information received from other people that one cannot adequately substantiate, or rumor. So what's said in court under oath is not hearsay.
Right. She
Coming from direct
testified
mouth.
under oath that she was 14 on those videotapes. That is not hearsay. That is under oath.
Correct.
All right, y'all. So,
Atmos, who you going for today's game?
you know what? Yep, I was checking your thing out. Who am I going for today? Who the Bills play the 49ers play the Green Bay Packers.
Right. I'm going for the Niners, of course.
I think Aaron Rodgers is too strong. I think Aaron Rodgers is gonna find a way to beat Garoppolo. I just do.
I don't know.
I do. And in Green Bay, that's gonna be a problem. That's gonna be a problem. As far as the Bills,
I have it's the Bengals and the Titans.
Bengals and Titans. That's a toss-up.
I think so too. I agree.
That's a toss-up game.
It all depends on what they're doing. They're in Tennessee.
Yeah, it's gonna be crazy.
I love football.
All right, let me see what some of these folks saying in here. This is the first time I heard about a 13-year-old. Hearsay, what he read word for word. Exactly. What a transcript is not hearsay. Right. Dolores, it's the first time some of us read or heard about this is this case in 2006 through 2008. Video substantiates everything said. Testimony substantiates the claims. But this all happened before 2008, right? This was between 2006 and 2008. And more of it happened, as you know, after that, recently. Dolores, he bought that acquittal. Yeah, he paid for it. I want Green Bay to lose because Aaron is playing with COVID-19 vax regulations and he's a jerk. Love his fans at 49. Okay, bro, I got you. Okay, T-Bound 1 said, watch it, Atmos, 49ers all day.
That's what I'm saying, Atmos.
House of the Princess said acquitted doesn't mean he didn't do it. Exactly. Chris Online said, I guess 49ers. I don't know. My Steelers are out, so I don't care anymore. I know that's right. Let me see. He did that. Dolores said, it doesn't matter. He was acquitted. Stop charging him for the...
Oh my God. Are we going
Alexa,
back on Double Jeopardy?
Alexa, start over.
Take me to the king. I don't have much to bring. My heart is torn in pieces. It's my offering. Take me to the king.
Alexa, stop. I had to take you to the king, Mr. Lawrence. I know this is hard for you, and I respect you, but I know this is hard for you. So I'm gonna let you have it. I'm gonna let you have it. He sure did repeatedly. Some people only hear what they want to hear. The denial is real. Absolutely. That pissed me off last week, said anyone but Aaron Rodgers. Yeah, sometimes you gotta just take people to the king, y'all. But y'all listen, man. Let's get ready for these football games. They about to come on. They about to come on. Thank you, everybody, for joining and coming on here and reading with us. Noonie, thank you so much. I appreciate you. Tanya, thank you so much. I love y'all. Y'all are amazing.
Love you. It's so great to do this again.
Yes, yes, yes. Thank you so much.
Bye.
I'll talk to y'all later.
Have a good day.
Okay, bye-bye. All right, everybody. Thank y'all for coming over here. Y'all were amazing. We're gonna be doing part 4 very soon, part 4. But listen, I love y'all. Thank y'all for coming over. Make sure y'all hit that like button on the way out, and subscribe to the channel and share this video, y'all. More people need to hear the facts. More people need to hear more facts over feelings, more facts over opinions. And all we did was read the paperwork. That's all we did. I didn't make it up. Okay, I didn't make it up. All right, so listen, I love y'all. Thank y'all for being here. I will holler at you all later. Okay? Peace out, y'all. Have a blessed day.
Oh, 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 no.
I don't need negative energy, wrap me in positive synergy. I have been doubted through life, been never done that with trifling people who told me my style would not work. I told them they wrong, they're struggling too long. This song is for you, I'm proving you wrong.
Get out my way, get out my way, get out my way, get out my way.
I'm a genuine person. Like if I love you, I love you. If I don't mess with you, I don't mess with you. It's as simple as that.